Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for your second video of the day. Chelsea news here. We're talking incomings, we're talking outgoings, and I thought I would go for a little walk around my new neighbourhood. Not even been here 24 hours yet, but there is a bit more green around here than I've been used to where I've been living. There's been loads of buildings, but now I'm going to take a stroll because I figured the audio in today's first video was horrifying because I haven't got my setup all done yet. The house is basically empty, so there's reverb everywhere. So a walk and a talk is what we are going to do. Before we get into the news, we have got a lot to discuss today regards Chelsea's interest in Brazilian Wonderkids as we look to build a football school of young Brazilians, which in the past would have been brilliant. Now could still be brilliant, but is that the problem right now? Do we need to keep buying the youth? Is there an issue with the fact that there are still 3 positions in the first 11 that probably need to be strengthened, and we're probably going to have to spend serious money? Before we talk about that though, 2 VIP tickets to Chelsea-Liverpool being given away on my Telegram, top link in the description. We begin with Chelsea coming in interested in Matheus Franca, Brazilian. He's 18 years old. He was wanted by Newcastle in January, and the fee that is being reported, 25 million euros for an 18-year-old. Again, from what we have seen of him, which I probably think I'm the same as a lot of you guys, compilation videos on the internet. I don't watch the Brazilian league religiously. Plays at Flamengo, and he looks like a really, really good player. And this is where we start to discuss the strategy here in the transfer market, because I do understand the debate here. A lot of people are saying it's all well and good, Chelsea buying these 18-year-olds for the future, but is that going to solve the problem that we have now, which is last season the first team wasn't good enough. We've identified the problems, the weaknesses. Why aren't we going out buying a new goalkeeper? Why are we still talking about bidding for Caicedo but haven't? And why are we not trying to sign a world-class striker right this second? So, the issues with this is that it is perceived that the club are just spending money on talents for the future. This argument also raises the question that if we're going to be buying half of Brazil's under-20s squads, then what does this mean for young English players developing at the academy in Cobham? Is there still a pathway into the first team for these players? Now, when it comes to the finances that we spend, all of these transfers that we are using, spending, buying for these youngsters, they're on massive contracts. And what this enables Chelsea to do within financial fair play, within the budgets year by year, we spread out the costs of all of these deals over a significant period of time. A lot of people are thinking, well, let's say we sign 4 under-20s players this year from Brazil, and none of them feature next season, none of them feature the year after. There is a risk with this. There is a risk that in the process of Chelsea snapping up all of this talent, how many of those players can actually make it in the first team? I totally get this argument, but at the same time, I also think the club are being smart, maybe slow at the moment, when it comes to investing in those positions that we desperately need right now for the first team squad. For example, Andre Onana, Chelsea said too expensive. Mike Maignan, they said too expensive. We're not spending that kind of money. And I do worry about this. But at the same time, I actually feel as though the goalkeeping position of all of them was probably the one that if we were going to let one of those positions where we should strengthen, not even going to say slip, but if we're not going to prioritise it, the DM and also the striker, in my opinion, are significantly more important. The Caicedo deal, at the moment, it's still all talk. This is another confusing thing for me at the minute. I'm like, well, why don't we just submit a bid to Brighton, give them something to work with, let them make a decision. Look how beautiful this looks behind me, by the way. But we haven't done that yet. We're talking with Brighton. Personal terms have been agreed with Caicedo. It's about Chelsea striking this deal. We know with Brighton, it is difficult to negotiate with them. They like to long ball, they like to drag it out, and they know what they want for their players. And they also know Caicedo is desperate for the move, and Chelsea are desperate for a player like Caicedo in that position with all of the attributes and skill set that he has. So, with all of these deals going on, Caicedo, I think this will be a matter of time. I hope within the next 10 days or so, he'll be a Chelsea player. He'll be announced. Jackson's been announced. Gusto, announced. Nkunku, announced. Pochettino, announced. We know the manager. We know the squad that we're starting to see come together. And there's many other players who are looking to leave as we move into the next story. Christian Pulisic. There was a pretty pathetic offer that came in from AC Milan of around 12 million euros, which, if ever there was a time to be like, well, Pulisic at Chelsea, success or failure. 12 million euro offer. For a club to even consider offering this just goes to show how much he struggled. And I think as a result of that, as much as I've said it would be nice to see him stay, I don't think it's going to happen. The latest bid to come in is from Lyon, 25 million euros, and additional clauses in there about potential sell-ons, because I think Lyon know Christian Pulisic is that player who, given the right conditions, the right setup, could thrive. And then again, in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, we're talking about another player here that could go for a similar fee to what Chelsea bought him for from Borussia Dortmund, which is the frustrating thing about Pulisic. I think overall, this is a great deal for Chelsea right now. Yes, we lose a lot of money when we think about what we spent on Pulisic. We bought that potential. He's not lived up to that potential. I still think there's a great player in there. And as long as the sell-on clause from when he leaves Lyon is favourable to Chelsea, then I think Christian Pulisic leaving Chelsea now is probably the right time for him to do so. Again, it's another one of those potential sales where it gives us a lot of questions about who that player is going to be that could potentially play off the wing. Is that going to be Nkunku on the left? Or is he going to continue to be that second striker? Which now leads us to talk about Rayan Cherki. This guy, okay, he's 19 years old, and I'm going to say it here straight up. When I've seen this guy play, I watched him play against Ukraine in the under-21s Euros against Mudryk, who, quite frankly, both of those two players look like the best on the pitch. He reminds me of Eden Hazard. Even like looks a bit like Eden Hazard. He's playing at Lyon right now. Chelsea in negotiations with Lyon for Christian Pulisic, and Lyon are desperate to sell players. They need to sell. And Cherki is one of those valuable assets who Chelsea are probably going to be looking at. And I think if I was to make a prediction again, my sources for this one is just like me thinking, don't have any special source for this information, but I think if Chelsea are to go in, make a move for Rayan Cherki, I think it could be one of those deals that gets done quickly, considering that Lyon want to sell. And Chelsea are going to be looking at this attacking midfield position now that Mount has gone, signed for Man United, medical's done, blah, blah. Don't want to talk about it anymore. We have barked on enough about it on this channel. Mount is a Man United player, and I hope he fails at Manchester United, because that means Manchester United will probably fail. So we move on from that. Gabri Veiga, at the moment, PSG are looking like the favourites to bring him in. Cherki is the next best option, and I think as much as PSG are probably coming in now hard for Gabri Veiga because they probably thought, well, Chelsea want him. We don't like Chelsea. Look what they did to us with Ziyech. We're going to go for the player. I think this is actually a great deal. Cherki's 19 years old, yes. There is these flashes that we see, and again, he's a compilation player. He's the kind of player where even a year ago there would have been plenty of footage on the internet to get you and I excited about his ability as a footballer. But the fact he is two-footed, can play out wide but also behind the striker in an attacking midfield role, and he is so good with the ball at his feet. He's one of those players who has this ability, which very few players in the modern game nowadays I think have, to make something magic happen out of absolutely nowhere. And I don't know about you, but when you look at Nkunku, we talk about the potential still of Mikhailo Mudryk, a player who in these games for Ukraine is getting me excited for what Chelsea could have this season. But again, like a lot of our players, there's a lot of players that could be this, they could be that. It's about whether or not it happens now, later, or we sell them on for more money or make a loss like we did with Pulisic. Do you know what I mean? It's been a Chelsea thing for a while, and I think Cherki is one of those players who we now need to sign someone in that position. We need an attacking midfielder. We need to replace Mason Mount, and I think you can't not be excited about this. If you disagree with me, please let me know in the comments down below. Rayan Cherki, if you're not interested, let me know your reasons why in the comments down below. I just think this could be an incredibly exciting signing for Chelsea. I think he plays beyond his years. He's got a brilliant awareness spatially. Really good, as I said, on the ball. Two-footed, can just bring magic out of absolutely nowhere. And I think it's a brilliant signing for Chelsea. The final story that we're going to discuss today is Angelo, another 18-year-old Brazilian. I don't know how many of these young Brazilians or young players that we bought in, your Caceres, your Santoses, your potentials of Angelos, Kendrick Pires can't come till he's 18, but how many of these young players that Chelsea have bought, I want to know your answer to this in the comments, how many are going to make it at Chelsea? That's my big question. Angelo, I said it last week in the video when all of this news kind of came into fruition. Football Manager, right? That's all I got to go by here. And he's incredible on Football Manager. I signed him for Chelsea, and in the first season, he only started 3 games, came on 14 times and scored 10 goals for me. That's all I really know about the bloke, but again, great profile, good strong attacker, and again, playing with an ability on the ball, off the ball, between the lines, significantly higher than his age would suggest. So, my question is, Chelsea, when are we going to step up the pursuit of these top targets for the first team right now? But Cherki, let's get it done. Franca, exciting again. Big fee though. Is it too much? That's probably the going rate for a player like that at this moment in time. And how many will even be considered in Pochettino's plans this season? Exciting players. Talking about exciting players to get us off our seat. That is what I want from Chelsea. But at the same time, we've got to be smart. We want to get the main deals, the absolute must, the essentials done as soon as possible so they can get in, work with Pochettino. Poch knows what he's got, we know what we got, and we can start winning football games. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up for you guys now. It was nice to take a little walk, actually. Every time I went this way, beautiful behind me, innit? But we had to stand in front of the sun, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see me. Thank you guys for watching. As I said, Telegram link, top of the description if you want to be involved for the chance to win the 2 VIP tickets to Chelsea Liverpool. Subscribe if you are new, hit the like if you enjoyed. Come on, you boys.